I'm excited to be here. I don't know how excited I am to tell my story, but I searched really hard for the right story. I've been in the healthcare industry for a very long time. As a matter of fact, my first job when I was 14 years old, I worked in a hospital in the delivery labor suite as an orderly. And I've been in healthcare ever since, and I'm 63 years old. And I've had many, obviously, different jobs in healthcare, some at very high levels, some at very low levels, and all smattered with failure. And with all failure comes, what do you do next? And when my daughter asked me to do this, I thought, what story will I tell? There's so many to choose from. The minute I thought about it, I thought about a time in my life when I was younger, because I think early failures tend to stay with you longer, depending on how you deal with them, and those that are near you deal with you when you're going through them. And it's funny because I talked to the people at Failure Lab, and we talked about what story, and it reminded me about a week before I'd been meeting with somebody in this job I'm doing right now at a local hospital, and I met with somebody who basically said, you know, what's happening is wrong, it won't work, you're not doing it right, this, that, and the other. And I immediately thought back to the time of the story I'm going to tell you today. And I immediately labeled him someone who I'm going to prove wrong. Hopefully that doesn't mean another failure. But anyway, I thought that was very interesting. And the other thing I'll tell you was 10 minutes before we started, I got a little text message from my sister who's 70 years old and got married when I was 13 years old. And she sent me a note that I'd written my mother when I was 13, about the same time as this story takes place. Kind of weird, huh? Same time, little note to my mother who had to be pleased. Anyway, my story goes something like this, and I'll give you the context. My father was a physician. My mother and father raised 8 kids plus 4 others, that's 12, and I was the 5th out of the 8. The first 4 school years, 1st through 4th grade, I spent 2.5 years in hospitals, mostly schooled at home or in the hospital. I had various ailments, a thing called nephritis, a thing called encephalitis, which is like meningitis, and I tried to sever my arm one time and had to be in traction for 6 months. So school and I weren't the best friends in the world because I really didn't know much about it, and I wasn't really very acclimated to it, nor did I behave as most school kids did. So in the 4th grade, I was summarily asked to leave public school and went to a private school where they were supposed to pay attention to you. And in the 5th grade, it went really well. I had this wonderful teacher named Miss Quevedo who actually paid attention to me. I actually got through the years with mostly D's and C's and thought it was a great accomplishment. Not a failure at all. I graduated into the 6th grade and was there met by a teacher who at the beginning of the school year announced to the class that Brad is not the smartest kid in the world, so we're going to put him in the back of the room because he can't keep up. And through that year, I was called stupid, dumb, not able to do things, removed from any athletic activity, removed from shop, which I did well in, by the way, and basically decided that if I wasn't good enough, I wasn't going to do anything. So I literally would sign my name on every paper and do nothing else. Eventually, I had no friends at that time. I was kidded, chided, made fun of, and obviously eventually that led to some pugilistic activity which got me dismissed from that school. It also got me in front of a lot of people who basically told me, well, you've now flunked out of public school, you've flunked out of church school, and now you've flunked the 6th grade, and you're a loser. You're never going to make it. You're never going to make anything of yourself. And the final report that the school wrote by this wonderful teacher was said that they should look for other alternatives for me, not in education, because I'd never amount to anything, and it wasn't worth my parents' money to do anything. So that was the most significant failure I can ever remember. I was young at the time, probably I was 12 years old, and I thought I was a failure. And my choices were numerous, which my parents put in front of me, and one of them was Ritalin, and I refused. And so my parents left me to dwell on how I would handle my failure, and gave me actually 4 choices. The choices were mine to make and not theirs, they said. That my life from there on then would have to be up to me, because they realized that I had issues that I had to deal with and they didn't know how to do it. Back then, there weren't a lot of different things to do when you had 12 kids running around, and that 5th one had to figure it out. So that was my major failure, which I think I will call failure phase 1, because that attitude led to other failures down the line. It led to other things too. But that was my original failure, and that's the story I wanted to share with you. And I look forward to talking to you afterwards about phase 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and infinity. Thank you very much.